If there's one thing we know about 50 Cent, it's that when he decides someone is his enemy, he doesn't just stop at beef, he builds a whole empire around it. And now, it seems the legendary Black Mafia family founder, Big Meech, is caught in 50's web of drama. But this time, things are messier than ever. From accusations of snitching to shocking insider allegations about secret deals with government informants, this story is spiraling out of control. And just when you think it couldn't get any wilder, Rick Ross steps into the picture, ramping up the chaos to a whole new level. So, what's really going on here? Is Big Meech the real rat? Or is 50 Cent just playing games for clout? Sit tight, because we're diving deep into the drama that's got the internet buzzing. It all began when 50 Cent, never one to hold back, called out Big Meech in a series of social media posts. One post in particular featured a cryptic photo with the words, "The truth and nothing but the truth. BMF. Who is Tammy Cowens?" If you're wondering who Tammy Cowens is and why she's suddenly at the center of this controversy, you're not alone. Tammy is Big Meech's longtime business associate and co-producer of the hit TV series BMF, which 50 Cent executive produces. But according to 50, Tammy isn't just a co-producer. She's also a government informant. And that's where things start to get messy. Because while Tammy and Big Meech have worked together for years, rumors are swirling that their partnership may have involved more than just business deals. In fact, some say Tammy played a critical role in helping Meech cut a deal with the feds, a deal that may have led to the downfall of one of his closest friends. But before we get into that, let's rewind a little. For those who don't know, Big Meech, real name Demetrius Flannery, is one of the most notorious figures in American crime history. Alongside his brother Terry, aka Southwest T, Meech built the Black Mafia family into a criminal empire that dominated the drug trade in the 1990s and early 2000s. At its peak, BMF wasn't just a crime organization, it was also a hip-hop powerhouse, with a record label that rivaled some of the biggest names in the industry. But in 2005, their reign came crashing down when the feds launched Operation Motor City Mafia. The brothers were arrested, their empire was dismantled, and Meech was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Or at least, that's how the story was supposed to end. Fast forward to October 2024, and the shock announcement that Big Meech was being released early from prison sent waves through the hip-hop world. While his official release date is still set for August 2025, Meech is already out and living in a residential re-entry program in Miami. And this is where the rumors start. How did Meech, a man sentenced to 30 years, manage to get out so early? Some say it's because of his close ties to Tammy Cowens, a known government informant. Others believe Meech cut a deal with the feds to shorten his sentence. Either way, the whispers about snitching have only grown louder since his release. And then there's the Rick Ross connection, which seems to have pushed 50 Cent over the edge. Meech recently announced a collaboration with Ross for a Welcome Home concert in Florida, and 50 was quick to express his displeasure. For those who don't know, 50 and Ross have been at odds for years, with 50 famously mocking Ross for his past as a correctional officer. To 50, Ross represents everything he despises, someone who cosplayed as a gangster while working for law enforcement. So when Meech teamed up with Ross, it wasn't just about loyalty, it was personal. But here's where things take a surprising turn. Instead of just going after Rick Ross, 50 shifted his focus to Meech and Tammy Cowens. He called Meech a rat and claimed the only reason he's mad is because Meech is working with Ross instead of him. And to make his point, 50 posted a picture of a rat with the caption, "The biggest mistake he ever made was not sustaining his relationship with Tammy Cowens. Her tell-all doc reveals the truth." So now the question is, what truth is 50 talking about? And why is Tammy suddenly at the center of all this drama? According to multiple sources, Tammy Cowens has a long history of working with the feds. In fact, she's been labeled a government informant since at least 2008. But that didn't stop her from becoming one of Big Meech's closest associates. She owns the rights to his life story. She co-produced the BMF series, and she's been a key figure in Meech's business dealings for years. But here's the twist. Tammy may have also been involved in helping the feds take down one of Meech's closest friends. Enter Dion Gatling, aka Cuffy, a former associate of Meech who claims he was set up by Tammy and Meech to secure a deal with the government. Cuffy says he was blindsided when he found out Tammy was an informant and was devastated to learn that Meech may have been involved in the setup, and it doesn't stop there. Tammy's involvement in the BMF series has also raised eyebrows. with some questioning how someone with her background ended up so deeply embedded in Meech's business. Even Whack 100, never one to stay silent, weighed in on the situation, calling it dishonorable for Meech to continue working with Tammy even after her informant status was exposed. But others argue that Meech didn't have much of a choice. After all, Tammy owns the rights to his life story, and cutting ties with her could mean losing control over his own legacy. If you thought the first part of this story was wild, buckle up because things are about to get even messier. Big Meech, Tammy Cowens, Rick Ross, and 50 Cent aren't just caught in a war of words. This drama is pulling skeletons out of closets that some people hoped would stay buried forever. And now, it seems like the heat is turning up for everyone involved. From allegations of betrayal to accusations of hypocrisy, this situation is spiraling into chaos, and it's clear that nobody is walking away unscathed. Let's start with the most explosive claim so far, that Big Meech may have sold out his longtime associate, Dion Gatling, aka Cuffy, to save himself. According to Cuffy's family, Meech worked with Tammy to set Cuffy up as part of a deal with the government. And if that's true, it could completely destroy Meech's reputation as one of the most loyal figures in the game. Cuffy's daughter Tamara has been vocal about the betrayal, saying she grew up thinking of Meech as an uncle, only to later learn he may have been the one who helped put her father behind bars. In a leaked jail call, Cuffy himself described how Tammy and Meech worked together to target him, claiming that Tammy used her position as a government informant to pass information to the feds. But the most shocking part? Cuffy says Meech knew Tammy was an informant the entire time. Here's where things get even crazier. Tammy Cowens isn't just a random figure in this story. She's been deeply involved in Meech's life and business for years. She owns the rights to his life story, making her a key player in everything from the BMF TV series to any documentaries or films about Meech's life. But Tammy's status as a government informant has been public knowledge for over a decade, raising the question, why would Meech continue working with her knowing she's tied to the feds? Some say it's because he had no choice. Tammy's ownership of his life rights means she controls how his story gets told, and cutting ties with her could have major financial and legal consequences. But others argue that Meech's willingness to work with Tammy shows he's not as loyal or principled as he claims to be. And then there's 50 Cent. While he's been leading the charge in calling out Meech for working with Tammy, a lot of people are questioning 50's motives. After all, 50 has been working with Tammy himself for years. She's a co-producer on the BMF series, which 50 executive produces, and their partnership dates back to the early days of the show's development. So why is it okay for 50 to work with Tammy, but not for Meech? Some fans think 50 is being a hypocrite, pointing out that he didn't seem to have a problem with Tammy's informant status until Meech teamed up with Rick Ross. Others believe 50's real issue isn't Tammy or snitching, it's loyalty. To 50, Meech crossing over to work with Rick Ross, one of 50's biggest rivals, is the ultimate betrayal. And if there's one thing we know about 50 Cent, it's that he doesn't take betrayal lightly. Speaking of Rick Ross, his involvement in this drama has only added fuel to the fire. Ross and 50 have been at odds for nearly 2 decades, with 50 frequently mocking Ross for his past as a correctional officer. In fact, 50 has gone so far as to accuse Ross of being an informant himself, claiming his ties to law enforcement run deeper than most people realize. But Ross isn't backing down. In a fiery response to 50's accusations, Ross called him a hurt hoe and told him to stop taking business matters so personally. Ross also doubled down on his support for Meech, promoting their upcoming Welcome Home concert and making it clear he has no intention of letting 50's beef get in the way of his plans. However, the real question isn't whether Rick Ross and 50 Cent will ever squash their beef. It's what all this drama means for Big Meech. For years, Meech has been celebrated as a larger-than-life figure, someone who built an empire from nothing and stayed loyal to his people, even when the chips were down. But the allegations against him paint a very different picture. If Meech really did work with Tammy to set up Cuffy, it could shatter the myth of his loyalty and tarnish his legacy forever. And if he's taking sides with Rick Ross over 50 Cent, it could create even more enemies for him in an industry where staying neutral is often the safest bet. At the same time, 50 Cent's actions in this drama are raising just as many eyebrows. While he's positioning himself as the moral authority, calling out Meech for working with Tammy and Ross, fans are questioning whether 50 has any room to talk. After all, 50 has a long history of working with controversial figures, including Tammy herself. And let's not forget, 50 is no stranger to allegations of disloyalty. Just ask anyone who's ever been on the receiving end of his infamous Instagram posts. So is 50 really trying to expose the truth? Or is he just stirring the pot to keep himself in the headlines? As for Tammy Cowens, her reputation is taking a major hit as well. While she's been a key figure in the success of the BMF series, her status as a government informant is making people question her motives. Is she really just a businesswoman trying to tell Meech's story? Or is she using her position to manipulate the narrative and protect herself? And how much of what we've seen in the BMF series is actually true? These are the questions fans are asking as more details come to light. At the end of the day, this drama isn't just about Big Meech, Tammy Cowens, Rick Ross, or 50 Cent. It's about what happens when loyalty, business, and personal grudges collide. Meech's decision to work with Tammy and Ross has put him at odds with one of the most powerful figures in the entertainment industry, and the fallout could have serious consequences for everyone involved. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's relentless pursuit of this story is raising questions about his own motives and whether he's really exposing the truth or just adding fuel to an already out-of-control fire. But now, we want to hear from you. Do you think Big Meech crossed the line by working with Tammy and Rick Ross? Or is 50 Cent being a hypocrite for calling him out while working with Tammy himself? And what do you think this drama says about loyalty and trust in the entertainment industry? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to stick around for more updates on this explosive story.